Welcome to this week's TDD Weekly Report for the week ending April 9th. This first story comes from the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics. I always have loved astronomy, but this one I'd never even thought of before. What if you have two white dwarf stars circling each other and going to collide? Now, a lot of times people would say, well, it's just going to end up turning into a supernova, but suppose the mass of those two stars combined are less than the mass to be able to create a supernova. I think a supernova has to be 40% more mass than our sun, and in this case, some astronomers have actually discovered, and the name of this thing is SDSS with some more letters and numbers and stuff like that. I'll give you the link to the article. But this new binary star, it's located in the constellation Cetus, and it's 7,800 light years away. Well, it's actually a binary star, I should say, this binary star, which is soon going to become a star because they're orbiting each other closer in distance than the Earth and the Moon, and they're traveling around. The speed of the orbit that they're traveling around is at 1,000,000 miles per hour. They think within a couple of million years these stars will combine, and instead of being two dying stars, which is typically what a white dwarf star is, they're going to start fusion again and become a brand new living star. So I thought that was kind of neat. And with as many stars as there are out there, if this is what they've found so far, it would be really cool if we found one that was actually in the process of reigniting and becoming a star again from two white dwarfs. It just has to be less than 40% of the total mass of our sun so that it doesn't end up going supernova and just blowing itself apart. But I thought that was kind of cool. They even have links to the papers that these guys wrote if you want to really get geeky about it. And as usual, I will post the link to this article. And another geeky science one. Since Elizabeth Taylor died, people have been talking about blue eyes and the color of eyes. And your eye color is based on two pigments, and those pigments are just yellow and brown. So where do we get blue eyes from? Well, the same reason the sky is blue. The iris has 3 different layers, and any of these layers can have either yellow or brown pigment on it. But people with blue eyes, only the very back layer of the iris has the dark brown pigment that absorbs certain wavelengths of light, but the other 2 clear layers have tiny particles suspended that scatter light. And just like the tiny particles up in the sky scatter the light, and you see the blue light coming towards your eyes, and that's what you detect as the color. The same way with people with blue eyes, the light that you see is from the scattering of those particles. And so those pigments are what makes up this. The combination of those pigments or the lack of pigment is what makes up the different colors of eyes of people. I thought that was kind of an interesting article. Here's one for the stupid news. This is an article from April 6th from True Crime Report. This is Peoria, Arizona, and I guess this teenager named Taylor Petz was making a sandwich for himself late at night and accidentally stabbed himself. So he calls the ambulance. They end up getting there. They find out that it's not really that bad of a wound. He was standing out on the sidewalk waiting for the ambulance to arrive. Wasn't really that bad. Didn't even require stitches, but he did drip a little bit of blood on the sidewalk. Well, wouldn't you know, the city attorney actually found out about this and ended up calling the hazmat team from Tucson, Arizona to drive in for 2 hours to do a cleanup on a few drops of blood. And so with the travel time and everything, he ended up getting a bill for $2,000. I guess the kid's mom complained, and they did knock the bill down to $1,200. But I think this is just about the height of stupidity. Whenever you get anybody with a law degree involved, or anybody that's concerned about lawsuits and stuff like that, it just turns into a cluster screw up. So anyway, what I would be saying myself is if somebody had any common sense at all, what the attorney should have done was call up somebody on the scene, found out it was a couple of drops of blood, maybe call somebody from Streets and Sanitation to come out there with a cheap bottle of bleach and hose it off a little bit after pouring bleach on it. But it takes all kinds in city government, I guess, and especially the lawyers when they get involved. So anyway, I'm going to make it short this week. It's been over 4 minutes already. So take care, everybody. I will catch you next week.